Well, with that big legal day for Apple, joining us to dissect this is Bazzy, president of Benzinga. Kyle, thanks for joining us this evening.
Nice to be with you, Michelle.
Kyle, let's start focus on the ruling by the U.S. International Trade Commission. It issued a limited exclusion order and a cease and desist order prohibiting Samsung from importing, selling, and distributing devices in the U.S. The ITC said that some of Samsung's older devices infringe of 2 of Apple's patents. They found no violations on 4 other patents. So exactly which 2 patents are in question here, and exactly which Samsung products would be affected?
Yeah, Michelle, and that is the key here. Across all of these patent infringements, what they're really going after is what they're calling the essentials rather than the non-essentials. As we know that Samsung lost a patent last week when President Obama vetoed it because they were considered non-essential features, whereas these 2 that Apple is suing Samsung over are both the headphone jack and the touchscreen display, which they're considering considerable features for what they have an edge in the marketplace.
So exactly which Samsung products could be pulled off the shelves?
There's actually a variety of them, and when we talk about the patents, there's a distinction we want to make too. Apple is not going to win the one on their display where we're talking about the rounded edges and the rectangle design. So Samsung has a lot of older versions that are looking to be taken off the shelves here in the U.S., if not vetoed by Obama. Now, another very important point to make here, besides just the essentials, is they're looking at this, and it was asked in court to Apple if this is going to be looked at for future and also current phones that Samsung is making, not just older ones. So really the implication here is Apple's going after not only Samsung's older models that they're selling, but also the current and newer ones to get taken off the shelves here in the U.S. So it's a very, very big indication of what's going to happen in the future for the Samsung company.
Well, Kyle, you're focusing with that comment on the U.S. Appeals Court case. I want to focus some more on the ITC case, which, as you've mentioned, needs to be approved by President Obama. If it's not approved within 60, if it's not vetoed within 60 days, it does go through. And as you mentioned, that as recently as last week, the president overturned an ITC decision that would have banned the sales of some older Apple iPhones and iPads in the U.S., which apparently violated Samsung patents. Now, this complicates matters more because could we now be seeing some kind of political tensions between South Korea and the U.S. if the president overturns the Samsung ITC ruling but goes ahead and approves the Apple one?
Yeah, and it obviously with Samsung being based in South Korea, it has to hold some kind of weight in the decision he's going to make, because they're going to look at it as favoritism here because Apple obviously being over in California. And with this being obviously Samsung, the largest smartphone maker in the world, it's going to play a lot of weight. So it's going to be interesting to see what Obama's going to do, and obviously with the 60 days. But there is going to be political tension. There is going to be political turmoil if it doesn't overturn this like he did the Samsung one.
Okay, so we still need to see what happens there. And I want to go back to that U.S. Appeals Court that you mentioned earlier. Request for Apple for permanent injunctions on sales of some phones made by Samsung. So what is the latest development in this case, which has been going on for about 2 years now?
Yeah, and I think that with the appeals court, we're looking at a 2-year battle, and really what the economic impact of what this could be. We're not just talking about Samsung with the appeals, and we're not just talking about Apple with the appeals. You have to think about how far-reaching this all goes. In my opinion, what I think is going to happen, we're going to see an out-of-court settlement. It's going to be very sizable, like the one we saw previously between the 2 companies, because either way, no matter which one wins, you're going to be creating a monopoly in the market if one of the phones does get banned. So I think that you have to see some kind of out-of-court settlement. It's not healthy for the marketplace, for the smartphone development and innovation and what's going on in the U.S. And quite frankly, I don't think it's fair for a consumer not to be able to buy a phone based off of one small or a couple of features on the phone when really the phone has so much innovation and so much technology in it. So the question, and there's a lot of forward thinking to do here too, if a lawyer or a judge, I should say, allows that to go through.
Well, patent protection is very important to incentivize further innovation. But what I want to ask you very quickly, Kyle, is how are the other big smartphone makers impacted by all of this legal wrangling between Apple and Samsung? Is it to their advantage, or do you think this will set some kind of precedent that will affect the whole smartphone market as a whole?
Yeah, and they're watching very closely. I think that we as a economy and companies as a whole, especially when the companies get to this size, although patent protection is extremely important, if you look at the amount of patents that they have on each phone, and if you look through the details of what the patents actually are, it's hard to argue what is unique and not unique. And I think with the other phones, they want a competitive and fair marketplace. If the judge allows Apple to win on something that's not as essential to the phone or what would make it competitive in the marketplace, you're going to open up Pandora's box and allow a lot of the smartphone makers to argue what is unique to their phone, and it allows them a competitive edge. And then you're going to have a very big legal mess in terms of all of the heavyweights going at it and trying to ban each other in each market.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much, Kyle Bazzy, President of Benzinga.